Hey guys, and we're here in amazing Salalah in Oman, and we've come down here for the regional launch of the Audi Q5 and the SQ5. Now these cars are completely new. The old Q5 was one of Audi's best-selling SUVs, in fact, second after the A4 Saloon. In fact, they've sold 1.6 million of those cars worldwide. This all-new car is a completely new car, and they built a whole new factory for it. They spent 1.3 billion on building a new factory in Mexico, where they're gearing up to produce 150,000 of these cars every year. So as you can see, it does look a little bit different, looks a little bit more sleeker. The grille is wider, the whole car is in fact longer. It's about 34 millimeters longer. There's a new grille at the front, and it's got this nice contour line on the side now that gives it a little bit more of an attitude along the profile, where the old one was a little bit straight lined. Maybe the old one was a little bit pudgy, and this one feels a little bit more sporty. And in fact, if you're talking to sportiness, you've also got the SQ5, which gets different front and rear bumpers. It gets a sort of quad exhaust look at the back, but that's not real, so it just meant to look like that. Gets a bigger spoiler, and gets these. This one has 21-inch alloy wheels, but they all start with 20-inch alloy wheels for the SQ5. For the Q5, they go from 17 up to 20-inch wheels. The SQ5 also has sport seats and Napa leather interior, so fairly well equipped. But the main thing about the car is that it's got a host of features, a lot of new things in the way it drives and the way it runs, and quite a marked difference between the Q5 and the SQ5. So we're going to have a chance to actually drive both of the cars in this test and see how they are. Right now, let's have a look at the practicality of this one, and we'll start, as usual, with the boot. So let's have a look at this then. They say there's a bit more space in the back of here. So power liftgate, of course, it's got remotes there to close it and stuff like that. So in here you've got quite a large space. It's fairly deep, but quite high, so there's not a big lip to get stuff over. There is an underfloor compartment, but really it's just full of wheels and toolkits and stuff like that, so not really any extra space. There's a couple of pockets on each side, and a button here that actually raises and lowers the car to give you a little bit more ease of getting stuff in and out. You can also drop the rear seats simply by pulling the lever there. Talking of which, let's get into the back and see what that's like. So here we go, let's get into this. Now I've got to admit that this front seat isn't really set for me, but it seems a reasonable distance from the steering wheel, so it seems about right. Let's put this up so you can have a look at the Napa leather interior with this cross stitching here. Gives it a really nice look. There doesn't seem to be a USB here, but there is a power supply. There's individual AC, well, there's one AC control with two individual AC vents. That's all you get over there. It's a nice interior, pretty much as you'd expect. Door pockets there. You've got a central armrest here with a couple of cup holders. So that's pretty much your lot. Best thing now is to take it for a drive. So here we are in the Q5. This is the Q5, not the SQ5, but it does benefit from the new interior that they now have on this car. Very Audi-like, much more sweeping, better ergonomics. We've got a massive touchpad here with the MMI control, and then your electronic transmission selector. Your parking brakes and your auto assist there. A little gap down here, a cubby box, not too deep but handy. A little tray here, which actually can be moved and to give you a couple of cup holders there, so that's quite handy as well. A little tray here, but not quite wide enough for a phone. Glove box, very deep, not bad. Nice leather seats on this one. Of course, the SQ5 has better Napa leather heats, fully adjustable steering. Remotes on the steering wheel, and of course now you have the option of the virtual cockpit, which you can do all of that stuff with it, and you can go full sat nav if you want all the way across. So this car, let me just put that there just to give you the prices. And this car basically, they all come with one engine now. It's a 2-liter TFSI with 252 brake horsepower, and which is 20 brake horsepower more than before. In fact, they got rid of the 3-liter V6 because it's now so close between this one and that one that there's no need. So it's just the one engine as far as the Q5 is concerned. You do get a 3-liter V6 turbo, not supercharged, in the SQ5, but we'll come to that in a minute. 0 to 100 in this car is 6.3 seconds, which is an improvement over the old one, which was 6.9 seconds. 233 kilometers per hour is the top speed. It's got, I'll talk about the all-wheel drive system in a minute. It's got 7-speed dual clutch automatic. Did I give you the price? 183,900 dirhams, which is about $50,000. So let's take it for a quick drive along here. I'll just move that to a different location. Now, we're just going to take a normal run in this car because this is not your sportier version. This is your everyday cooking Q5. ideal family car. Now what I wanted to talk to you about in this car particularly, because something that's quite new, of course they got a ton of new features in this car, and of course a load of driver features. It's all available now, all the lane keep assist, you know, the pedestrian awareness, so pre-sense and all that sort of stuff. Active cruise control, I don't know if this one's got it, but you can get it. It's a new platform, new chassis, longer than before, longer wheelbase than before, more space in the rear, more space in the luggage compartment as you've seen. But the thing about this car is it's got a slightly new quattro system in that it's actually fully automatic. So in most modes, or most normal driving modes, it's actually in front wheel drive mode only. And by front wheel drive mode, they've gone one step further in that they actually completely disconnect the drive shaft from the back. So the idea being there to make the car more efficient, to save the extra resistance and that you get from a full four-wheel drive system, even when it's not being used, and it will of course affect fuel efficiency. So in this case what they do is they completely disconnect it, leaving you with an entirely 100% front-wheel drive car. So how do you switch it into four-wheel drive? You don't. It does it automatically. And how fast does it do it? It does it very fast. So what it can do is it basically detects between two sets of circumstances. So it'll either detect the condition of the surface or the road. So if it starts to slip, if the tires start to slip or something like that, so it detects it's on a loose surface or a wet surface, it will automatically go into four-wheel drive. And how does it do? How long does it take? Well, it takes half a second to detect it. So it takes a half a second to decide, and then it takes 0.2 of a second to go, you know what, I think I'll go into all-wheel drive. Or actually, that 0.2 a second, it actually switches into all-wheel drive. Now, the other set of circumstances is when you're pressing on a bit. So it goes on driving style. So if you're pushing the car, you're going a bit harder, or if you put it into dynamic drive select system, at the moment I suspect it's an automatic, but I can select individual and I can go into dynamic. If I go into dynamic, it sort of biases more towards all-wheel drive most of the time. What mode are we in? We are still in, we're in dynamic now actually. So now that we're on this little twisty road, we'll keep it in dynamic for a bit. But incredible landscape here in Salalah. So green, it's unbelievable. But, and a good amount of terrain as well to try the cars out in. You have got 4 steps as far as ground clearance is concerned. It can actually go 5mm down when you're in dynamic mode. So maybe I shouldn't have put it into dynamic mode because we are on a slightly rough surface. I'll tell you what, I'll put it back into auto mode. And or it can go up by I think 45mm. So, but there's actually 2 steps in between. So it's like, so there's a lower one for dynamic driving. There's a regular one. Then there's step 1 high, and then there's step 2 high. So it gives you a couple of options there. Like I said, it's got part-time all-wheel drive. It's got the usual sort of features that you would get in the car. So what's it actually like to drive? Well, to be honest, I mean, the performance is not bad. Actually, this is literally the first time I'm driving this. I've just put my foot full down there, and you can hear the engine. Let's go into dynamic mode again, because it's quite a nice bit of road actually. And let's go dynamic. Let's go into paddle shifts, because it does have, it's 7-speed automatic on this one. It's a dual clutch, and you know, it's a bit of understeer. Yeah, definitely a bit of understeer, but not quite as tight as the other one. We'll get to that in a bit. So just a quick drive. So we're on the launch here. We're on the regional launch of the Q5 and the SQ5 for the Middle East here in Salalah in Oman. But yeah, I mean, the ride is, the body control is surprisingly good. I mean, considering that it's a family SUV, and it hasn't got the stiffer suspension that the SQ5 has, but the body control is pretty good. Turning is not too bad at all. It's electric power steering, I should imagine, as you would expect in these cars. They've all got that now. And you know, the brakes are very good.
Please turn left after 350 meters.
No, that's all right. But generally, it's actually not bad. I mean, considering that it's an SUV and what sort of car it is, you know, I'm quite enjoying this.
I'll turn left.
Oh,
turn right
go away! Sorry, I don't know how to turn that off. But well, I'll tell you what. We'll take a turn around here. Oh man, amazing view over there. Maybe when I turn around, you might pick that up in the camera. But quite an enjoyable car. Actually, what I'll do, because it's so good, I'm just going to give you, I'll cut it in from this camera here. Look at that, just incredible.
Please follow the road for 2
Oh,
kilometers.
be quiet. So, generally, very good handling for a car of this type. Little bit of understeer as you would expect. Performance is perfectly adequate. I mean, look at that. Bit of kick down and off it goes, you know, not too bad at all. Brakes are very good, quite reassuring. And the ride actually is very good as well. You can get it in a range of 17-inch up to 20-inch wheels, I believe. The SQ5 has 20-inch wheels as standard and 21-inch as optional. I'm guessing this one is probably riding on 20s because all their press cars, you know, they're all well spec'd. But yeah, a good response. I mean, we're on this twisty little road and actually not too bad at all. So generally, I think a thumbs up for this car. Not at all bad in terms of both an easy car to poodle around in, as you probably will be doing in a Q5, and to pick up the kids and stuff, but also to drive. Quite satisfying, I would suggest. And nice response from the paddles as well. So I think the thing to do now is to get into the other one. Let's try, yeah, it's a tight corner for this car. Let's see how the other one fares on that. SQ5 drive coming up. Okay, so now we're in the SQ5 with its nicer Nappa leather interior and a slightly better spec, a little bit more carbon you can see here, a bit more sportier, flat bottom steering wheel, a little S logo on the steering there. So what has this got? This one does have a V6. It's a 3-litre V6. It's not supercharged anymore, it's turbocharged. Puts out 354 brake horsepower, good for 0 to 100 in about 5.4 seconds. And still gives you an economy of 8.3 litres per 100. Limited top speed of 250 kilometers per hour. Now, unlike the other car, this one does have this one has permanent all-wheel drive, but of course it has a split front and rear. So I think it's normally 60% rear, and then it can go up to 85% rear, depending on the circumstances in your driving style. So I'm going to go into, that's in auto mode, and I'm going to go now into dynamic mode, the other way. There you go. And this one's got an 8-speed automatic Triptronic, this one. And wow, okay. Oh, wow, okay. It sounds better. It sounds gruntier, meatier. Slightly synthetic, but I'm going into sports mode, yeah. And let's try in sports mode first. But yeah, a lot more pull, a lot more grunt. I say a lot more, like not masses more, but certainly you feel the difference over the Q5. Q5 wasn't too bad at all. This one's also got a stiffer suspension setup as well, so definitely more tuned towards sportiness. So let's see how it turns in. Turn in is pretty good, response is pretty good. Still not, I mean, similar steering, so not a lot of feel from the steering, but response is pretty good. But yeah, I mean, definitely you can feel the torque. The torque makes all the difference. And the sound is nice. I mean, you get a little bit of a pop that you do in some VAG products, the sportier VAG products, through the gear changes. So we'll go into manual now. Yeah, dynamic manual. So second gear, third gear, and at the top here, let's go back in second. There you go. It does go back into second. There you go. Back into third. We'll do it. Brakes are good. Nice little bit of movement there. So actually pivots around. It's definitely a sportier setup. Wow. I mean, actually, quite entertaining this. Wowzers. This is a very, I know you can't see on the camera, but this is an extremely steep hill, but no problem at all. So back up to our turning point. Man, that made really short work of it, didn't it? Didn't take long at all. So let's go back down again. And wow, definitely it sounds better. The brakes are good, turning is good. Body control is surprisingly good because it's just, I mean, there's very little lean, and there's a little bit of a bump there just in the mid bend there, and it just controlled itself very well over that. You wouldn't, none of the floatiness or the bounciness or anything like that, but we're surprisingly eager turning, you know. Yes, there is. I mean, when you get onto the power too early, you feel the understeer, and if the corner tightens, you'll feel the understeer. But otherwise, it's pretty faithful. So yeah, when they put the S logo in front of this little SUV, this family SUV, they're not kidding actually, because it is sporty and entertaining to drive. I mean, you know, the third gear is fantastic in this. Anyway, let's go back into second now. But third gear is very tractable. I'm not having much issue at all. Now this is a really tight one here, and again, yeah, oh yeah, it's better than the, oh yeah, held on to the line much better at a higher speed. So wow, okay, and even leapt out of that tangent remarkably well. Wow, I'm actually enjoying this. This is surprising. I'm flabbergasted. that word anymore. I'm flabbergasted, I am. Look at this, wow. Then back on the brakes, good brakes, responsive, but wow, I mean, there's a little bit of a pivoting action going on with this car, where it just kind of tucks itself in a little bit. Wow, this is impressive. Okay, don't get me wrong, we're not talking RS4 or anything like that. We're not talking like that. Don't go, oh, you know what, I'm going to abandon my supercar and get one of these. No, you shouldn't do that. But if you need something for the family, but you can still have a little bit of fun on it between dropping them off and picking them up, definitely have a look at this. Prices on this, not cheap though, 249,000 dirhams, which is $68,000. So a fair bit of money for this, but I guess you get what you pay for. So there you go, there's our review, our quick review of the Q5 and the SQ5 from amazing Salalah here in Oman. It's truly stunning places. I think we're right at the end of the season now, but it's still fantastic. If you can get out here, still get out here. The scenery is just remarkable. I hope you enjoyed that. Please do let us know what you think of the car and the review in the comments below and elsewhere. And do please check us out on motoringme.com and find us on all social media. On Facebook, Instagram, Twitter and YouTube. And if you're on YouTube, please do like, share and subscribe. You can also follow me, Shazad Sheikh. I'll put my @ here, and it would be nice to see you on my social media as well. See you there. Thanks a lot for watching. Until the next one.